Welcome to the Seven Figure Wellness Business Summit. I'm your host, Tony Lynn Davis, and I'm here with my friend, guru, mentor, Dr. Tom O'Brien. Welcome to the show, Dr. O'Brien.
Oh, thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you. So a little bit about Dr. O'Brien. He is an internationally recognized, admired, and compassionate speaker who focuses on food sensitivity, environmental toxins, and the development of autoimmune disease. Dr. O'Brien is considered the Sherlock Holmes of chronic disease and autoimmune. He holds a teaching faculty position at both the Institute of Functional Medicine and the National University of Health Sciences. He has trained and certified tens of thousands of practitioners with his online program that focuses on the understanding of the impact of wheat sensitivity and the development of individual autoimmune disease. He is also the founder of thedoctor.com and the visionary behind the Gluten Summit, A Grain of Truth. In 2016, Dr. O'Brien released a very important docuseries called Betrayal, the Autoimmune Disease Solution, and currently has impacted over 500,000 people worldwide in viewing this docuseries. He also was very busy in 2016 and released his groundbreaking book, The Autoimmune Fix, winning national awards and rankings in several categories as #1 in Amazon. So thank you so much for being here. Let's dive right in. I know you're traveling, you've been super busy, so tell us a little bit about what you've been up to, and then we'll talk a little bit about your business.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm blessed, I say thank you every day. I'm just blessed that in the way I've transitioned my business, I can work from anywhere in the world as long as I have good internet. And,
yes.
That's a critical component. So many nightmares. That's what turned my hair gray, was having bad internet. But it's a real lesson. You make sure ahead of time that your technology is going to support what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You test and retest, right? Test and retest.
Yes.
I don't even know how to summarize this. We're just on a roll that people are listening to what we talk about and the messages we're delivering. I decided recently to try something new. And so I rarely see patients anymore. I'll see one every month or two, a really difficult one that gets through the staff. Mm-hmm. But we decided, let's send out an announcement. We'll take 15 people for a day, and we'll do a mastermind to dial down why they don't have the results in the healthcare they're doing right now. Mm-hmm. And we sent out an announcement on Saturday night at 8:00. It was sold out in 4 hours.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. I saw the announcement, but that's fantastic.
Yes, and then there was a huge waiting list, and so three days later we sent out another announcement saying thank you so much. So all right, we'll do the next weekend. That one sold out, and well, that's enough. That's enough. It's so much work, but what it tells me is that people are really looking, and when you establish yourself as an expert in a particular area that fuels you up, when you establish yourself, people will listen, mm-hmm. and they'll give you a shot. You have to build your credibility, but then they'll give you a shot. And I'm so tickled with that quote that you have right over your left shoulder.
Thank you.
That says it all. Be fearless in the pursuit of, I can't see it now because now I'm
soul on fire. What sets
your soul on fire?
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to focus on that for a minute because this is a story I tell a lot. I go back to my alma mater and I do a class on how to open a successful practice. And I've been doing that for 35 years. We opened our practice and day one, we had 33 new patients.
Wow.
And nothing was free. No free chicken, no free x-rays, no free anything. Paying patients that wanted to get well. And so I go back and I teach about that. And there's two things, or three things, but two that I'll talk about here. Maybe all three. This would be a great message for people who are wanting to build a 7-figure practice. Mm-hmm. So the first message is, and these are to interns, they've got about a year until they're going to go out and open their own practice. I say, if you give me 1 hour a week, just 1 hour a week, every week, same time, 1 hour a week, you further ensure your success when you open your practice. How many are willing to do that? And of course, everybody in the room raises their hand.
Right.
It's a loaded question. And I say, when you're studying in the library, you take an hour. When the alarm goes off that it's 7 o'clock on Tuesday night, that's your time, or whenever it is, you get up from what you're doing, walk up and down the aisles of the periodicals. Look at the journals, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, Reproductive Surgery, JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, the Journal of Manipulative and Physiological Therapeutics, Acupuncture Today. Just look at all the journals, because it's the only time you're going to have access to all these journals in one place.
Right.
Right? You never will again. They're online, but you won't be able to just walk up and down the aisles and you say, oh, I wonder what's in here. And you open it up and read the index of the stories or the articles and that one. Oh, that's nice. And walk back and say, oh, that sounds interesting. Go sit down and read it. And when you're done reading that article, you put it back, you're done for the week. And the next week you do the same thing. And the next week you do the same thing. And you're going to find that you're going back looking for more articles on a particular topic that you read because you've been thinking about it all week. You say, wow, that was really interesting about the malleoli and how the function of the malleoli can actually control hip function. And whatever fires you up, right? So you go back and you look for another article on the function of the malleoli and about pronation and about foot mechanics or whatever it is that fires you up. It could be on HOMA scores and insulin sensitivity.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what it is. You're interested in it. That's what matters. And every week you go back 1 hour, just 1 hour. And within 6 months, 8 months, you've read 5 or 6 articles on the malleoli. You now are an expert on malleoli function, because none of your peers have read any articles on this. So if the topic comes up to talk about ankle function or ankle positioning, you can just go because that fires you up. That's what you really enjoy, right?
You become that authority.
Expert. You're now the expert.
Exactly.
So when my son was 17, he's a really smart guy. He graduated from high school with a 4.3, one of those kind of guys.
Yeah.
And when he was 17, thinking about colleges, I said, Jason, I don't really care if you go to college. I really don't care. And he looked at me like this, and I love it when I can catch his mind, because it's so rare that I can catch his mind. That kid has been working since he was 1 day old. But I said, if you look at a brick wall, you say, wow, how'd they do that? And you start thinking about brick walls and you're dreaming about brick walls. I mean, really? You're dreaming about brick walls? You go find the best brick wall maker there is. You work for free for a year. I'll finance you. I'm financing school. I'll finance you. Or if you want to be a rock and roll star, I mean, really, man, it's in your blood. You got to do rock and roll. You go do rock and roll. I'll finance you for a year. But if you don't have something that grabs you by the balls and it just won't let go, if you don't have that, you go to school, because that's where you get more exposure to different things. And my prayer is you find something in your life that grabs you and it just won't let go. You've got to read another article on that, or you've got to do this. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It does, as long as you don't hurt people, it doesn't matter. And I can promise you, you're going to have a great life. You're going to have a happy life. You make a valuable contribution to the planet. You'll make the world a better place, and you'll be a happy, peaceful man. My son now is 34. He's been ranked San Diego's #1 bartender 3 times.
Oh,
it's remarkable. It's remarkable what he does with craft cocktails. And he teaches all over the world. They fly him to London now, and they flew him to Germany for his opinion on using Jägermeister, actually. Jägermeister flew him from San Diego to Germany, right? Because they want to up their game. They don't want to be looked upon and laughed as the Kager group. You get stinky drunk. Jägermeister. They hold image. And so what did they do? They brought over 10 of the best bartenders in the United States, and my son's one of them, right? Because he's got such passion for what he does. It doesn't matter what grabs you by the balls. It doesn't matter. whatever, but you have to set yourself up to find that thing. You can't make it up and pretend. You really have to find something that grabs your interest. So how do you do that? 1 hour a week, walk up and down the aisles, looking at the periodicals. In healthcare, you just look at all the options and the themes in healthcare. Look to see what it is. Because everybody thinks in your practice, you have to be the best at everything. You have to be able to handle diabetes. Yeah, I can take care of your diabetes. You have to be able to handle arthritises. You have to be able to handle fatigue. You have to, and of course, as general practitioners, if that's what you are, you need to be really good at as a primary care physician. You can tell what's going on. But I submit to you, when I took my board exams, I did 6 different states to get board exams. And when I took my board exams, they throw x-rays up and they say, what's this? And I'd look at it and say, well, I see this and this and this and this, but I don't know what this is. I'd refer it out. I'd have a radiologist read the films. And they said, well, what do you think? And I said, well, it doesn't matter what I think. I'm not an expert in radiology. I'll have a radiologist read the films.
Right.
So I know exactly what's going on, right? So you go to the pros. So you want to be the pro. It's like, I'll go toe-to-toe with anyone about wheat sensitivity, anyone in the world, you know, because I've read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of articles on it. And on autoimmunity and on the world of predictive autoimmunity, I've read hundreds of articles on this. So I'll go toe-to-toe with anyone that wants to go again, you know, wants to argue the basic premises of these things.
Right.
And it's not because, you know, I'm not bragging, guys. I'm just saying you find what grabs you by the nuts and it won't let go. That you do. You want a 7-figure practice? That's your passion. What you bring to the office every single day is what your staff picks up on, is what they take pride in representing you to the world. It's your passion that makes the difference. That's why I love your quote over your left shoulder. It says it all. It just says it all.
Well, and you've been able to take that and obviously have a very successful brick and mortar practice, but what made you want to take it to a larger audience? Because you've been out in the online space for a lot longer than most people, and you've seen, you know, probably tons of trends that have happened on the online space. And what was it just a drive? Obviously, I know you're a very passionate person and you have a mission in your life, and we've talked about this extensively in person. So I'm sure that had a big piece of why you wanted to do it, but was it kind of a scary time where you were like, I think I need to do more?
Well, there were 2 things that happened. The first was I started talking about Dr. Hans Selye, who's the guy that coined the word stress with healthcare back in the late 40s and early 50s. And he showed that the adrenal glands of younger people who died of trauma, who their health history was they were in excellent health, their adrenal glands are the size of a walnut.
Oh.
And people of the same age that died of degenerative diseases, their adrenal glands were the size of a peanut. That you wear down your adrenal glands. It's the stress of life. His book that came out, The Stress of Life, set the stage for all of us now that talk about stress. And he was the first to talk about the physiology of it. And so I used to talk about Selye a lot and how we all want to live in parasympathetic dominance, not sympathetic dominance, because when you go from sympathetic dominance, you know, the fight, flight, or fright, then it goes into sympathetic fatigue, and then sympathetic exhaustion, and then sympathetic depletion. And when you're depleted, you're worn down, and that's when you get disease. So I started talking about that a long time ago, 1980, when I came out in practice. Matter of fact, our grand opening, that's one of the things I talked about in our grand opening. So it was about 15, 18 years later, my hair started turning white in my 40s. And I said, I'm working too hard. You know, I'm too stressed. I'm not walking my talk for the stuff that I'm talking about. I'm living in sympathetic dominance here. And I'm in great shape for sympathetic dominance. So I was doing a lot of triathlons, and I was 44 and scoring in the top 10% of the 30 to 35-year-olds. You know, so I was walking like a stud, you know. But my hair was turning white. And, you know, I couldn't rationalize it off. Well, it's your genetics. No, it's not your genetics. It's the epigenetics that turns on those genes, right? It's the epigenetics. So what was it? Was stress. It was stress hormones. So I decided I was going to sell my practice. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I was going to do something different. We had a large, nice practice and had built it over 20 years. And And I sold my practice on September 15th, 2000. And then March, no, yeah, September 15th of 2000. And in March of 2001, I'm going to date myself now, I did a Jim McKay ABC Wide World of Sport Agony of Defeat.
Oh,
And anyone who watched the introduction to that show knows exactly what it is. Boom, 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 down a hill, skiing. And I completely severed all the ligaments in my right shoulder. I have no ligaments holding my arm into the socket, only muscle, only muscle. And you know you're bad when they take you down the hill in an ambulance, take you to the hospital, and you're sitting there, and the orthopod walks in and he goes, oh, get the resident. I haven't seen one of these in a while. Get the resident.
Oh, no.
And he didn't have to do anything. He saw right away what it was. He said, well, this is what's happened to you, sir. Go back home to Chicago and get the surgery. Tell me about the surgery. And he said, well, it's a complicated. I said, tell me about the surgery. And he said it has a 50% failure rate.
Oh,
And
wow.
if it fails, you're a mess. For the rest of your life, you're a mess. So I did not do the surgery. And I had my friends work on me, and they did a fabulous job. So I was fully functional. The only thing I couldn't do, though, is the type of spinal care that I had done in my practice, right? I'll back up. So when I sold my practice in September of 2000, I decided 3 years earlier I was going to do this. So I needed an associate to come in and train who was going to buy my practice. And that person came in a couple weeks, 2 months later. He was a Chippendale model, right? And he had hurt shoulder. He hurt his shoulder. So, we fixed his shoulder, and he said, this is really cool. I want to do this. I want to do what you do, Doc. Right. And I saw he was serious. I said, great, here's what you have to do. And go to this school. And so he did all of that. And during the course of his education, I would say, this is really important. Dial it down. This one, make sure you know it. This is really important. So his emphasis in his training and his education was excellent. And when he graduated, I hired him as an associate. And I told the local bank president, I said, make this guy your friend. Consolidate all of his education loans. Make him your friend. Take him golfing once a year, because he's going to buy my practice in 3 years, and you're going to finance it. And the guy looked at me. I said, you know my numbers. I mean, it's going to be you or somebody else. So if you want to, just build the relationship. So he did. In 3 years, I sold my practice, and the bank paid 60% of the sale to him. And then I gave the guy a note for the other 40% for monthly payments for a few years. So that was in September of 2000. And 6 months, and I said to him, just give me your associate contract. I'll work for you for a year. He said, really? Really? I said, yeah, the contract is fair enough for you. It's fair enough for me. Right. And I'll help you with the transition. So I worked for him for 6 months, and then had this injury. Then I was done. So I'm tumbling down the hill, and boom, boom. Oh, my shoulder hit. Boom. Oh, my head hit. Boom. And I just lay there when I stopped. And I tried to get up, and I had severe pain in my shoulder. I knew right away what had happened. I just laid back down and immediately said, thank you.
Yeah.
Right? I'm laying in the snow. I'm in pain. And my first thought was, thank you. I'm done. I'm done with all of the type of healthcare delivery that I had done, which was musculoskeletal and functional medicine together. We were pioneers. We were talking about intestinal permeability and heavy metals in 1980, 1982. The local family practitioners and internists said that I was a nutcase. There's no such thing.
Yeah, sure.
So it was the pioneer days. I didn't care. I knew I was right. Because I'd read studies. You walk up and down the aisles and you read the studies of what's cutting edge.
Right.
And then that some people just haven't had the opportunity yet to read those studies. So when I was done with the standard type of healthcare delivery that I was accustomed to, I took a few months and then decided, what am I going to do? And so someone called me one day and invited me out to lunch. I said, sure. And she said, you know, we've got a practice and we specialize in autistic kids and kids with severe attention deficit. Oh, that's nice. Why don't you come up and visit the office one day? And I said, oh, that'd be nice. No, really, come on up. Okay. So I went up a couple weeks later and I walked in and I said to the receptionist, hi, I'm Dr. Tom O'Brien. And hi, oh, please have a seat. The doctor will be right with you. There was a family sitting over there in the waiting room, and a 8, 9-year-old boy and the parents. And the doc comes out and says, hey, Dr. O'Brien. I stood up. She said, hi. Oh, by the way, this is the Jones family. And I said, oh, hello. Nice to meet you. And they stood up and she said to me, tell us about Johnny. And I said, excuse me?
Whoa.
Tell us about Johnny. And I looked at them and the mother said, please. And then I knew I'd been set up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I said, well, nice young man, really smart guy, not doing well at school, probably a bit bottle, and he's got mercury toxicity and mold. And she went, oh, our house was just diagnosed with mold infection. How did you know? Oh my God, how did you know? Please help us, please. So I went back, you know, and sat with the doctor and said, you set me up. And she smiled and said, please come work with us for a while, you know? And I was kind of bored. And so I said, well, okay, I'll come in on Tuesday mornings, you know, spend a few hours here once a week. So
right.
they booked me up, and then it was all day Tuesdays, and then all day Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, and it was all day Tuesday and all day Thursday. And I said, that's enough, that's enough. And, but it got me into really applying functional medicine principles without any other distractions, not worrying about office logistics or any of that kind of thing. So I could really dial down a protocol of how to help people figure out what's going on for them. And, you know, we all talk about finding root causes and all that. The root cause of someone's recurrent sinus infections or compromised immune system is not a vitamin C deficiency.
Right.
That is not the root cause. That's an important contributor. That's an environmental contributor, but it's not the root cause, right? So I developed my functional medicine skills, really honed them there, and found that the things that I'd been learning, I started teaching. 2004, I did my first official presentation at the International American Association of Clinical Nutritionists. And then 2 months later, I did one for IFM. Mm-hmm. Blew the rooms away, just blew them away, as I talked about wheat sensitivity without celiac disease. And that just launched me. And I've been lecturing, 25 to 40 presentations a year. And now webinars and interviews, 2 or 3 a week, every week. And so it's 100 or more in a year now. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity just to share some of the wisdom that's been passed down to me. Yeah. You know, I just did this quote recently. It was part of the invitation for people for this full day mastermind we're doing. And I said, you know, one of my mentors was Dr. George Goodhart, the founder of Applied Kinesiology. And George used to say, look with eyes that see. Listen with ears that hear, right? So you've got to see what's right in front of you. You can look and be kind of thinking about something else. You've got your own mind ideas of what's going on over there, or you can look and you can see what's going on, what's really going on. Mm-hmm. And so as we develop that which grabs you by the balls and it just won't let go, as you develop that, you can see how it fits in the big picture. You take that passion that develops in the area that you have passion for. You take that and you apply it to help people with whatever it is that you're doing. So that got me into the whole circuit of lecturing and carrying a message out to larger audiences. Mm-hmm. And a good friend of mine, J.J. Virgin, had been calling me for years, say, hey, I'm going to this seminar this next weekend or in 2 months. Do you want to come? I said, what's it about? She said, about marketing and all that. And so, I don't have practice anymore. How much is it? $5,000 for a weekend? Are you kidding me? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So, I mean, we had many calls like that, and then one day I said, okay, I'll go, because she was having her own mastermind. So that was in January of 2013.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I went to JJ's mastermind, and I sat there and was in awe of the numbers of how many people these individuals were reaching with their message, whatever their message was. Didn't matter, but the platform is developed to go out there and deliver to tens and hundreds of thousands of people.
Yes.
And so many people in the room would say, yeah, I did this talk and 85,000 people watched it within a month. And I would just go, right. What? I had no idea. I actually raised my hand. This was January of 2013, right? I raised my hand and I said, excuse me, but what's an affiliate? I had no idea.
Right.
Absolutely no idea.
And it's
no idea.
There's a lot of people on this summit that don't have any idea, how to
Yeah.
leverage, this online space through affiliate marketing, through
Yeah, exactly.
And I think what you're saying is really, really right on point, and it's just so important that people understand that if you are passionate about what you're doing, that resonates with a tribe. If you have a niche, and
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you don't hurt people.
As long as you don't hurt people, right? Exactly.
Right.
And it's so important.
In that weekend, I stood up and I said, all right, I've been playing way too small. I'm going to go out and interview the world experts on wheat sensitivity, with or without celiac disease. And I'm going to air this thing. Will you guys support me? Everyone in the room said, absolutely, yes, we'll support you. And so the first person I interviewed was Professor Michael Marsh. When you get an endoscopy to look for celiac disease, they stick a tube down your throat and they look with a camera at your intestines and they snip a piece out and they look at it under a microscope. The classification by the pathologist is Marsh 1, Marsh 2, Marsh 3. I went to Oxford, England, and interviewed Marsh.
Wow.
The godfather of all of this. This is how I started. And he took me by the arm and walked me around Oxford and said, Tom, right over there, that's where I stood to receive my medical degree. Oh, that's really great, Professor Marsh, in 1962. Oh, that's really great, really great. And he took me to the library and we went downstairs, and right over there is where I would sit and study every day. And this is the godfather of celiac disease. No one had ever interviewed him. No one. And so then I interviewed, Loren Cordain, the founder of the paleo movement. 25, 30 years ago, Dr. Cordain was talking pure science behind why it's a good idea to take a look at this. And of course, David Perlmutter, Mario Hajivasulu in Sheffield, England, is the top neurologist in the world on the effect of wheat sensitivity with or without celiac disease on the brain. And so I interviewed all these people and I put this thing together called the Gluten Summit. Nothing like this had ever been done. Nothing.
Right. You're kind of the leading founder in summits.
And and I didn't know anything about a summit. I had no freaking clue what I was doing. Everybody needs to hear that. We had no clue what we were doing. So I hired this guy who was going to be the social media guy. He was going to help carry the message out of social media. I hired this guy because he was an expert at something called Infusionsoft. And I said, what? And it was a platform to send messages out. Okay. And we just made it up. We made this whole thing up. And so that was in January, I announced that. And in November, we had the Gluten Summit. 10 months later, we had 118,000 people attend, $986,000 in sales.
Wow.
And, it was all free. It was free online. And what we did, you put 4 interviews up a day. They're up for 24 hours. They come down, 4 more go up for 24 hours. They come down, 4 more go up. And so people say, well, wait, I want to hear that again. I want my dad to hear that. All right. Well, and so we made it affordable so people could buy it for $67.
Right.
29 of the world leaders, not the doctor down the street, the world leaders, 29 of them for $67. That's why we did $986,000 in sales on that.
Yes.
And then so many of the people in that first JJ Mastermind that I attended sent out announcements to their whole tribes. And many of them didn't, who said they would. And you have to be careful on who you talk to in this business, because for many people it's a business. It's not let me support your passion. And oh, very cool, I'll support you in this, man, because I see you've got fire in your gut for this. I'll support, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So some are like that, but some are not. But we did that, and it really launched the whole gluten sensitivity movement to a level of awareness. It took about 2 years after that, but there's no more argument on it. That of course there is gluten sensitivity without celiac disease. Of course there is, and there's hundreds of articles now on that, hundreds. Right. So but, it all comes from the passion. Mm-hmm. And then we did betrayal. Right. So my wife and I traveled the world, and I have to give credit to Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, my friend, because Sherry said to me in early 2016, so what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm thinking about doing something on autoimmunity, because this whole thing about wheat sensitivity is that it triggers autoimmune diseases. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a very common trigger. There are many other triggers, but she says, well, are you going to the Autoimmunity Congress? No, I don't want to go to Germany. I don't want to go. They said, how can you be an expert on something if you don't go to the Congress? I just started laughing. I said, well, you got me there. You got me. And so we went, and we didn't really know how to do this. We hired some people, some videographers in the local Leipzig, Germany. And I interviewed like so many world experts in autoimmunity. It was the same concept. When you hear Professor Yehuda Schonfeld, and Schonfeld, this guy's at Tel Aviv University, to give you a sense, at that time, now it's more, but at that time, 28 of the PhD students who got their PhDs under him, there are many more, but 28 of them chaired departments of immunology in med schools and hospitals around the world. Mm-hmm. They're his students. Right. So and they're the chairs of the department. So this is the godfather. Yeah. And when you hear him talk about Dr. O'Brien, of course, vaccinations do not cause autism. And of course, vaccinations may cause autism. Mm-hmm. If the person carries the gene HLA-DRB1, they are very, very sensitive to having a reaction to the adjuvant in the vaccines. And he just quotes the studies on all this. So if the patient, and 30% of the population carries that gene, 30 to 40% of the population has HLA-DRB1. If you carry HLA-DRB1, caution is advised in the administration of vaccines. Perhaps segment them out over time so the body's immune system does not get overwhelmed by it. Mm-hmm. And this is the godfather of autoimmunity. So when you hear stuff like this, like, wow. So we did Betrayal. And as you said, we've had over 500,000 people watch Betrayal. Yes. And the sales were 2.2 million, for that. Mm-hmm. And you never do this for the money. You never do it because the overhead was so much. Unbelievable. But it was okay, but it was a year and a half of my life, and so full time. But the message gets out, and so I know that in our small way we are impacting on the world, because what we do is what grabs me by the balls and just won't let go.
Right. Well, and the thing too with like what you're saying, I think it's important for people listening, understanding the back end, the technology, the affiliate programs, there's just so much that comes out of that.
You'll learn that on the job. Don't worry about all that crap. Don't worry about it. You'll learn it on the job. You'll make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But, I've got to learn this. I've got to learn this before I do it. Nonsense.
That's right. just like
Just
this.
know, just know there's no rocks, big boulders in the water, and dive in.
Right, right. No, I think that's great advice, and thank you for that, because that's exactly what I think almost all of us need to hear. That, you're sitting on that. You need to be a bright, shining, star in the universe of life, and how are you impacting other people's lives and being of service? And when you come from that place, then everything falls into place for you.
That's exactly right.
And you're absolutely right. There's so many people that I know, that there's people that I've coached and counseled with some of my clients. They want to be ready, and I'm like, what are you getting ready for? What is this getting ready?
I'm afraid of failing. Well, that's great. Just recognize that. And if you fail, you'll get back up and you'll do it again. I mean, Edison, how many times did he fail at light bulbs?
Right.
I don't know the story, but there's hundreds and hundreds of times, right?
Right.
You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just choose and go. In martial arts, I was blessed to be introduced to the #2 man in the world in the martial art of Aikido. He came to Detroit to give a demonstration, and he never left. And this guy he was my teacher, and he used to say, when someone is attacking, you can do this, or you can do that, or you can do that. There are many things. Just choose and go. Just do it. Just do something. Don't stand there. Don't freeze. Don't panic. I don't know what to do. Just do it. And next time you'll learn to do it better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So to give you a sense of this, the guys that we hired for the Gluten Summit, brought Bob on over here and brought Bobby on over here. It was so remarkable, the results of all this, that Bob and Bobby came together and they formed Health Talks Online.
Oh, yes.
So HTO is the #1 group in the world hosting summits. Mm-hmm. And millions of people have been educated going through summits hosted by HTO, the technology, the platforms they learned we all learned together on the Gluten Summit.
Wow.
So you never know the impact that you living by your passion, you never know the impact it's going to have. You just don't know.
Yeah. No, it's really, really amazing. Great advice. Thank you so much. I think we're going to wrap up there, because I know you are an extremely important, busy man, and I want to appreciate everything that you've said today, and thank you for all your tidbits. Is there anything last that you want to leave us with? I think
go ahead. I was going to say, for healthcare practitioners, the platform of degenerative disease is the immune system trying to protect you. Mm. If you read the science, it's almost always the immune system trying to protect you, whether it's Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or rheumatoid or MS, cardiovascular disease, atherosclerosis is autoimmune. Mm-hmm. It's the immune system trying to protect you. Right. The book that I put out about a year ago is called The Autoimmune Fix. Mm-hmm. And it's 35 years of pooling this information together with the studies and walking people through. So docs, if you read this book and you think it's of value, give it to your patients. Mm-hmm. Give it to them and say, please read this and let's have some discussions about it. So it's an investment for you of maybe $20 or something. I don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. But then they come back and they ask questions and this made sense to me. This really made sense. Yes. And you will empower compliance to your recommendations like nothing else I know about. There's so much good information out there on different topics. Mm-hmm. The immune system, autoimmunity, is the platform. It's the base upon which degenerative diseases rise up. Mm-hmm. So it's a venue to identify what's triggering this immune response. Why is the immune system doing this? And so when you dial this down, when you've got the big picture overview, it changes how most people practice. Mm. They look from a different place. And certainly you want to give symptomatic relief. Certainly you do. And you want to make sure, oh, Mrs. Patient, the core problem here is that you're not eating paleo and you need to eat paleo. You're a blood type O, you need to eat paleo. Right. That may be a valuable, very valuable tool, but that's not the core problem. There's got to be something underneath that activating an immune response. Mm-hmm. So I would suggest and request, shameless plug on my part, is
It's okay.
take a look at the Autoimmune Fix. Take a look at it for yourself. Just scan through it. People don't have time to read every book that they'd want to.
Right.
Just open it up to any page. Just open it up to any page and just read it. Whoa, that makes sense. And if that's the case, then dive into it a little bit more when you feel comfortable. Recommend it to your patients. It's going to open up so many conversations for you with them in the future like nothing I've seen before.
Yeah, that's great. And it's a great plug because it's a fantastic book, and it's an easy read and it's easy to understand. I've actually given it to some of my family members, and if they can understand it, I'm sure pretty much the general public can understand this. So docs, listen to Dr. Tom O'Brien here. He's giving you some good pointers on how to run your practice more effectively. So thank you, Dr. O'Brien, for being with us today, and good luck over there in Dublin.
There's one more thing
Yes.
I think I'd like to say as you were summarizing that, and that is to instill compliance in your patients, you have to demonstrate to them that they're improving on a regular basis, that they're improving. If you do musculoskeletal care, for example, I was a chiropractor and still am, but you do ranges of motion with a patient. Turn your head to the right as far as you can, turn your head to the left as far as you can. And then you do your spinal care, and then you have them sit down again, turn your head to the right, and say, they go, oh, I can turn more. So they see there's improvement.
Right.
Or if you're looking at the immune system, you do follow-up antibody tests every 6 months. And it may take someone 2 years, 2.5 years to get their elevated TPO antibodies down. Some of them are really difficult. But if you can show that they're improving step by step, they'll stay with you. So come up with your biomarkers, whether they're mechanical, chemical, emotional, questionnaires like the Living Matrix or the MSQ, the Multiple Symptom Questionnaire. Patients fill them out once every couple of months. Demonstrate to your patients the things that they forget about, how bad they felt or how bad their questionnaires were. And when you can show them the improvements, you've got them, and they stay with you long term.
Great advice. Thank you again for being with us on this important summit, and we will see you back in sunny San Diego soon. So take care of yourself.